was the eve before the big holiday. The Alpine desert was cold and gray. Many hoped a snow would fall from heaven. No white Christmas since '87. Around town, the Grinch was not just fable. It was a name, even a label, given to a local man, a recluse, a pilot, for what they could deduce. It was a legend, his holiday mood, though many considered it taboo. His hate for the festive cliches was great. The pomp and pageantry didn't translate. But lately something inside him had changed. The thoughts in his head had rearranged. Instead of displaying a mood most foul, across his face was a grin, not a scowl. During this very merry time of year, what he had could pass as festive cheer.
He shrugged on his jacket and scarf to go. The outside temp was 0 below. He glanced at his watch. The night was still young. Time for the fun to truly begun. Into the corridor, away he flew, in search of Danny, Sam, and T2. His first stop, the private quarters of T. To Jack, the man was legendary. He tapped on his door, and nobody came. He whistled and called out his friend's name. He thought it wouldn't hurt to sneak a peek. He turned to the knob, and the hinge did squeak. With T's eyes closed and surrounded by light, Jack was instantly filled with contrite. Though it was not really part of his scene, never disturb a man mid-no-ream. He stepped away, at his temples he rubbed, trying not to feel like he'd been snubbed. His list of close colleagues was getting low, but he still had 2 teammates to go. Down the corridor and up a floor, it was Danny he was looking for. The door was open, he needed no key, but realised it wasn't meant to be. Dan was eye-deep in artifacts and books, way too busy for one of Jack's looks. He spun on his heels and marched away. Things were really not going his way. He was 0 for 2 and Christmas was nigh. Why, oh why wouldn't his friends comply? The prospects of spending the eve alone might be real. He let out a groan. He only had one more person to ask, rarely free from her doohicks and tasks. It was worth a shot, the thought did occur. The worst she could say was, "No thanks, sir." When he reached her office, his throat did clear. Her response, he really did fear. He opened his mouth, she did interrupt. She didn't want to seem too abrupt. But Dan had called, given her the rundown. His smile would likely turn to a frown. Her latest project was close to breakthrough. The solution she just had to pursue. A finger raised to forestall her speaking. His consent she shouldn't be seeking. He swallowed his pride and told her, no sweat. Her hard work was the program's asset. He bid her good night. Defeated he felt. A hand of letdown he had been dealt.
And now he wasn't feeling so jolly. For him, there'd be no boughs of holly. Only beer and a dinner for one. Now his night officially lacked fun. At home, he sunk into his sofa, sad. How had his day gone from good to bad? He ate a mouthful of microwave pulp and from his bottle swallowed a gulp. When out on his stoop, there arose chatter. He sprung from his couch to yell scatter, tore open the door to mouth displeasure. What he saw was a true treasure. The full moon was glistening off fresh snow, lit up the faces of people below. He knew in a moment his friends were true. In spite of himself, a grin shone through. He nodded, yes, his team were amazing. He bid them to sit by his fire blazing. They laughed, talked and drank long into the night. In his year, this was a big highlight. High above, among the sparkling stars, that red-cloaked, bearded friend of ours, 'twas old Saint Nick with a sleigh full of toys for all the well-behaved humanoids. He said, crossing the mountain frontier, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!